By the end of this video, you'll get a checklist that you can start using right now with the teams that you support. Doesn't matter if it's a new team, an existing team, maybe you just joined the team as a Scrum Master. This checklist will help you get started if it's a new team. Assess your implementation of Scrum for existing teams. I did some research online, best Scrum checklist, and found quite a few. Honestly, I was about to create my very own checklist, but then I found a very good checklist from Henrik Nieberg, and we'll go through this checklist together in this video. The checklist is very clear, very simple, but still it's missing some additional details concerning each item. What is this item? Why is it important? And how to implement this item with your team. This is where I jump in, and this is what we're going to talk about in this video. The link to the actual checklist is in the description of this video. Don't forget to check it out before going through each one of these items on the checklist. It's really important that we understand what is this checklist and who is it for. The Scrum checklist is a simple tool to help you get started with Scrum or assess your current implementation of Scrum. Note that these aren't rules. They are guidelines, aren't rules. A team of two might decide to skip the daily Scrum since they are pair programming all day anyway and might not need a separate meeting to synchronize. They are working together every single day. So they decide to intentionally skip this Scrum practice, but the purpose behind why we do the daily Scrum, it's a planning session. It's a daily planning session. We're gonna work together all day. Why do we need a daily Scrum? There's only two people in the team. So we're skipping the daily Scrum. You're putting an X on the checklist. We need to be punished and shamed because you're skipping this practice. But no. The purpose beyond the practice still stands. And there's a reason, a valid reason why we can skip the daily Scrum. If you're doing Scrum, it might be interesting to have a team go through this list at your sprint retrospective. Yeah, experiment with it. Try it with a team. Now, how do I use it? How do you use this checklist? Let's start with what you shouldn't be doing, and then we gotta go through what you should be doing. So big boss, okay team, maybe it seems like a big boss is even outside the team, not a team member, a manager somewhere in the organization. Managing the team. Okay team, time to see how Scrum compliant you are. Filling this checklist, please. Boss, I'm happy to report that we are doing everything. Well, except from the sprint burn down charts. Everything right except from the sprint burn down charts. Big boss, bad team. Bad team, it says here that you should be doing this. The sprint burning thingy. I want them. Understand why they want it, but they want it. But we do 2-week sprints and almost always manage to deliver what we commit to. Hey, that's pretty good. And the customer always happy. Sprint burn down charts wouldn't add any value at this stage. The big boss then says, well, it says here that you should do it. So don't let me catch you cheating again. I'll call the Scrum police. But you shouldn't be doing that. No, shouldn't be. Now let's look at what you should be doing instead. Joe, for this retrospective, I brought a useful little checklist. Let's do it together. Lisa, well, let's see. We're missing the definition of done. And we don't measure velocity. Well, Joe, now, definition of done is listed under core Scrum. Yeah, pretty important. Velocity is listed under recommended, but not always necessary. Yeah, we're going to cover that later in this checklist. So let's wait with that and start with the core stuff first. Let's start with the core stuff, important stuff first, and then we tackle, because we can't do everything together. Lisa, look, we're also missing delivering working, tested software every 4 weeks or less. That's listed under the bottom line. Top priority. Makes sense because marketing is always complaining about that. Top priority. So what you should be focusing on right now is delivering every single sprint or every single month. So this is how you should be using this checklist. So let's go now through the actual checklist. So there's four sections in this checklist. The bottom line, extremely important. Core Scrum, recommended but not always necessary, scaling and positive indicators. Let's start with the bottom line. Let me zoom in. How do I zoom in? Yeah, I think that's pretty zoomed in. Let's start it and go down together through this checklist. The bottom line, if you achieve these, you can ignore the rest of the checklist. Your process is fine. But the cool part, I'm sure, I haven't read it yet. I haven't read everything yet. I already know that it's good. But I'm sure that to achieve these 3 things, you'll need to do the other things also. Because these other things allow you to achieve these 3 core things. The bottom line. So first, delivering working tested software every 4 sprints. Why is it important? Why is it important? Because in Scrum, the most important thing every single sprint is building this potentially shippable increment of a product. We want to deliver early. We want to get feedback from customers, adapt the product based on this feedback, change stuff, add stuff, change stuff, and then release again, and then get feedback, and then release again, always ensuring that we are providing the maximum amount of value to the customer. We don't want to wait like the waterfall model, build something for 1 year and then release something that the customer doesn't even want. The second thing, delivering what the business needs most, maximizing value. Maximizing value. I don't like the word business. I would say customer, because business might mean the company, and the company managers, they want to achieve their bonuses. Now, I would say customer, so that you can really bring the focus to the customer. And the last one, process, is continuously improving. Continuously improving. I don't like the word process. Everyone, even people, continuously improving. The team continuously improving. The process continuously improving. Everything, the product is continuously improving. Then clearly defined. Product owner, the PO, clearly defined. 4 things, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 things under clearly defined. Product owner, the PO. The PO is empowered to prioritize. Yeah. No one is deciding for the PO. People can advise stakeholders, people in the team, anyone in the company, even maybe outside the company, the customers, everyone can sort of give their opinion. But the PO is empowered. The only one accountable and responsible for the backlog, the product owner. Not the manager somewhere, not the CEO of a company. Nope. For Scrum to work, the PO needs to be empowered. PO has knowledge to prioritize, knows how to use the RISE model or any other ways to prioritize. PO has direct contact with the team and also the customer. PO should be able to contact and talk to the customers every single day to get feedback from the customers. But more important here, I understand, is PO should be able to talk to the team also every single day. They need to stick together. If you're working online, you need to communicate every single day. PO has direct contact with stakeholders, including customers, but also managers in the company, the sponsors in the company. Direct contact. And PO should be able to shield the team also, so that these people, these managers, other people in the company don't pester the team, give work to the developers bypassing the PO. No, shouldn't be the case. The PO should be able to handle all this PR stuff and the developers handle the coding. Doesn't mean that the developers can't talk to the stakeholders, can't meet customers. No, I'm not saying that. If there's a reason why they should be meeting customers, because obviously they need information, they need to contact the customers, they should do it. But for stakeholders who are trying to push things directly to the developers, no. The product owner should be able to shield the team. PO speaks with one voice. In case a PO is a team, you cannot have multiple POs, you can have business analysts, multiple BAs, multiple teams working on same product, multiple POs, but there should be a single PO, a single one, a single voice at the end. Next, the team has a sprint backlog. Sprint backlog is extremely important. Not like the product backlog. The sprint backlog is defined when? In the sprint planning. The team commits on a list of user stories or story points. If you're using story points as velocity or man hours, doesn't matter. But you're committing on a list of things to do together as a team. And then you take all these things from the product backlog, you move them to the sprint backlog. Who is the owner of the sprint backlog? The product owner? No, not the product owner, but developers in the team. It's their sprint backlog. They committed to complete these things. So, highly visible. Extremely visible. It should be somewhere on your Scrum board or your Kanban board, updated daily. I would even say multiple times per day, owned exclusively by the team. The developers. We're talking about the developers here, not the product owner. The product owner, product backlog, but the sprint backlog, the developers have full access and control on this. But the product owner can't just put something in the sprint backlog without talking to the developers. And the developers can't put something in the sprint backlog without talking with a product owner. So everyone has a say to add things in the sprint backlog. The people who have a more say, I would say, are the developers, because they committed on a list of things to do. And they need to be able to achieve this goal by the end of a sprint. So the next thing is daily Scrum happens. Whole team participates. Everyone in the team. Usually the daily Scrum, if you read the Scrum guide, the daily Scrum for the developers, by the developers. The product owner, the scrum master doesn't need to attend, but there's nothing wrong with everyone in the team participating. Product owner should attend to help the team resolve impediments. The Scrum Master, same thing. Maybe the Scrum Master can facilitate the session, but it's not mandatory. Problems and impediments are surfaced. Extremely important. Impediments don't mean blockers only. Things blocking development. No, even things slowing down the team. Impediments slowing down the team. These should be raised in the daily scrum and throughout the day. We don't need to find a solution in the daily scrum. No, we just need to raise these things and find someone. Someone in the team should be able to be accountable and responsible to resolve this impediment. Usually, if it's something outside the team, the Scrum Master or the Product Owner will help the team resolve this impediment, but it's not their responsibility. In the daily scrum, you can decide who will be responsible, who will be working on this impediment. Next, demo happens every sprint. 2 things under that: showing working tested software. Second, feedback received from stakeholders and product owner. Stakeholders including the customer if possible. So why? Why demo every sprint? I don't like the word demo. I don't like it. Here we are talking about the sprint review. The sprint review is not only a demo. No, it's more than that. It's a place to be grateful of what the team accomplished, celebrate small wins, and also talk about the future. Talk about progress concerning the product goal. Update the product backlog if required. Get feedback on the team, on the process, everything. Not just a demo is only part of it. So let's get back to this. Showing working tested software, extremely important. We want feedback from customers, from stakeholders, from the product owner, and people inside the team itself. Extremely important. Why do we need feedback? To be able to adapt the product backlog and also the product based on this feedback. Everything that the stakeholders or managers somewhere attending the sprint review should be taken into consideration and added directly in the product backlog as top priority. No, no, that's wrong. That's wrong. You can add it to the product backlog if you get a suggestion, but that doesn't mean that we need to do that, because remember, the product owner is the only one accountable. If a product owner feels that this thing needs to change in the product, they can do it. Else, just ignore it. Have a definition of done. Definition of done basically means what needs to happen for this item, this user story, this task, this bug. It doesn't matter. For it to be done, for it to be considered as completed in the sprint. Remember, the team committed on a list of items to complete. How do we know what thing is completed or not? Definition of done. It needs to meet the definition of done. This is something defined by the team. Definition of done achievable within each iteration for each item. Each item, a definition of done which can be applied to each item to say if this item is done or not. Team respects the definition of done. There will be exceptions. Obviously, there will be exceptions. I would like to add another thing here. Ensure that the definition of done is used. That's here. It's said here, but ensure that the definition of done is always up to date. Revise it if required. Let's move to the right section of this checklist. Now, core Scrum, still we are talking about core Scrum. These are central to Scrum. We are still talking about the same thing. So now, retrospective happens after every sprint. You can't miss it. Every single sprint. A sprint retrospective results in concrete improvement proposals. Some proposals actually get implemented. Whole team and product owner participates. At least one item to improve, to ensure that we are continuously improving. At least one item. Everyone in the team. If you have product owners, if you have business analysts in the team, they should participate. If you have designers in the team, participate. Everyone in the team should be working together to try to optimize the process, and even themselves. If you feel that you need more learning sessions, working groups, you need more time to research, to learn, talk about that in the sprint retrospective. So let's go through this together. Results in concrete improvement proposals, not just ideas, but actual items, actions that will be implemented, that will be talked about in the sprint planning and put in the sprint, committed on in the next sprint or future sprints. Next, product owner has a product backlog. Obviously, top items are prioritized by business value. Most important thing, business value, customer value. Top items are estimated Not every items, but the top items need to be estimated. You'll talk about that in the sprint planning. Why not start estimating these items right now when refining these items? Estimated means estimated by the developers, not the product owner. It's not the product owner who's deciding how much time something needs to be done, how much time something will take to get done. Oh, the developers do that because the developers are doing the work. Estimates written by the team. Yeah. By the team, we mean by the developers, not the product owner. Next, top items in the product backlog. Small enough to fit in a single sprint. Small enough to fit in a single sprint. Extremely important. Why? Because we want to deliver every single sprint. Build this potentially releasable increment of a product every single sprint. We can't have items in the sprint that will take 3 months to deliver, to build. Doesn't make sense. Small items, deliver frequently, early, get feedback. Next item, product owner understands the purpose of all backlog items. Why we are doing it. Extremely important. What kind of value this will bring to the customer. Why we are doing it. What's the business value of doing this thing. More important than how we are actually doing it. We need to understand the why first. Next, have sprint planning meetings. You can't have sprints if you don't plan. Planning meetings, extremely important. The product owner participates, answers questions, helps the team refine all the product backlog items, helps the team identify and understand each one of these items. Understand that these items need to be clear in the mind of a developer because the developer will be working on these items during the sprint. Product owner brings up-to-date product backlog items, especially in terms of priority. Whole team participate. Everyone, all the developers, results in a sprint plan, a commitment by the team. The team believes that they will be able to achieve this commitment, and the product owner is satisfied with the priorities. Because remember, it's not the developers who decide the priorities of the product backlog, it's the product owner. Then these items, priority items, estimated items, commitment from the team moved to the sprint backlog. Next, time box iterations. Sprints in Scrum. Sprints, iteration length, 4 weeks or less. 4 weeks or less. Don't go more than 4 weeks. What's good in Scrum? 2 weeks. I recommend doing 2 weeks. 2 weeks is perfect. 1 week is a little too fast. 2 weeks is good. 3 weeks is 4 weeks. I don't like it. 2 weeks is perfect. Always end on time. Every single Scrum event, every single meeting, you should be ending on time also. Not just the sprint, but you should never ever extend the sprint. If you don't finish the work in the sprint, you talk about that in the sprint retrospective. Why didn't we finish the work in the sprint? How can we improve? You don't just extend the sprint. Doesn't make any sense. You don't do that. You start another sprint, you start fresh, and this time you are ready because you talked about that, how to improve in the next sprint. Team not disrupted or controlled by outsiders, managers, stakeholders outside the team. Nope. Should be shielded. The team should be shielded by the product owner, by the Scrum Master. And the Scrum Master should even sometimes shield the team from the product owner. Sometimes you have a product owner but doesn't respect the sprint backlog, starts adding things to the sprint backlog or talking directly to developers. Hey, just do that for me. We didn't commit on that, but just do that. It shouldn't take more than 15 minutes. No. You only work on items in the sprint backlog because you committed on these items. The team usually delivers what they committed on. Obviously important. Team members sit together. Can't do that online now because we are working remotely. It's really hard to sit together, but it makes sense. If you can sit together, same table at the office, please do it. Face-to-face conversation is the best way to communicate, most efficient way to communicate. And max 9 people per team. I've worked with a team of 30 people. It's a nightmare. Just imagine 30 people, all the developers talking to each other every single day. So many conversations, so many things being lost in the middle. Don't do that. 9 people, perfect. Let's go right again now. This time recommended, but not always necessary. Most of these items will usually be needed, but not always. All of them. Experiment with it. So first, team has all skills needed to bring backlog items to done. Cross-functional teams. All the team should have all the competencies to bring this item to done. But sometimes, teams have dependencies depending on how your company is structured. Maybe there's so many applications, we need interfaces, and there's a team that handles all the interfaces part. And you can't get this person to put in your team so that the team is cross-functional. Obviously, we'll have a dependency on other teams. But ensure to reduce your dependencies to a minimum because dependencies kill Scrum. Next, team members not locked into specific roles. Scrum says that there's no job titles. There's no roles in Scrum. There's no QA specialist or UX or UI. No. Product owner, Scrum Master, developers. If you start adding roles and telling that these people can only do that, like a QA, only doing testing, and developers don't do testing, you're just limiting the team. Let's say there's so many things to test. The developers already coded everything, and there's just things that remain to be tested. What do the developers do? They just chill? And the QA, a single QA in the team, does all the testing? No, the team should be able to help each other, self-organize around themselves, and be cross-functional. Don't add titles. Developers, product owner, Scrum Master, that's it. There's a reason for that. Iterations that are doomed to fail are terminated early. We already know if something is doomed to fail, terminate early. I've never terminated any iterations, any sprints up to now, so I won't be even talking about that. Very rare, extremely rare. Product owner has product vision that is in sync with product backlog. In sync, product vision, something in mind. And I would even say not only the product owner, the whole team should have a vision. The whole team should be aware of this vision. It needs to be transparent. Everyone, all the stakeholders also aware of this vision. Shouldn't be hidden in the mind of a product owner. No, everyone should be aware. Why? Why? Because we need people driven, motivated. And you can't be motivated without a why, without a purpose, without a reason why you're doing it. And that's the vision. That's the vision. Product backlog. A product and product vision is highly visible. Oh, we just talked about that. Everyone on the team participates in estimating. Everyone, I would say, not the product owner, not the Scrum Master. The Scrum Master and the product owner shouldn't be estimating the work for the developers. The person doing the job should be estimating the work. Not even a technical person, a tech lead outside the team or a manager outside the team. No, even if this person is technical. No, the developers in the team, the developers doing the actual work, estimate the work, not someone else. Product owner available when the team is estimating. Obviously, the product owner needs to be here to answer questions, clarify, make sure that these stories, user stories are understood. Clear, very clear user stories. Estimate relative size, story points rather than time. Yeah, that's debatable. Some people use hours, man hours, some people use story points. Doesn't matter, but there's a reason why you should be using story points. Product backlog items are broken down into tasks within a sprint. Task within a sprint. Why? We don't like working on big items. A big item that's in the in progress column for multiple days. How can you manage that? How can you ensure that this item is being worked on? A single person working on an item for 5 days. It's gonna mess up everything. Break the item down into multiple tasks, and maybe each one of these tasks can be tackled by multiple people in the team. Everyone is working together to get this item to done, and it's easily trackable. When you break down the items, you see it moving through a sprint. It's way better than having a big item. Else, why do we even need items? Have a single sprint, a single item in the sprint. We are doing this feature, a single item, and just put it in progress. And we don't need to have a board, a single item in the sprint. We have multiple items, and it's the same logic that can be applied for a single item, breaking down into multiple things. Sprint tasks are estimated. Estimates for ongoing tasks are updated daily. Obviously, updated daily. Velocity is measured. All items in sprint plan have an estimate. Story points. Some people use story points, some others use man hours, but you need to estimate. Why do you need to estimate? Let's see if this is talked about. PO uses velocity for release planning. Velocity only includes items that are done. Only items that are done. If you finish a sprint with one user story, multiple tasks under the user story, 4 items, all tasks are completed. One task is not completed. You don't count that as completed. The full item needs to meet the definition of done for it to be considered as done and then counted. The point is counted. Now, why do we use velocity? So that we do planning. Velocity is not used to measure the performance or productivity of a team. No, it's used for planning. We want to predict the future. And we can use this velocity to sort of know how fast we are going or how slow we are going so that we can know what we'll be able to achieve in 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. The team has a sprint burn down chart, highly visible, updated daily. We want to know what's the progress in terms of the user stories in the sprint. What's the progress concerning the work in the sprint? Are we progressing in the sprint? Or are everything work in progress? Nothing is getting done. Look at the sprint backlog and the sprint burn down chart. Frequently, daily, multiple times a day, highly visible. I just realized that I missed something on the next section. Let's complete the left section and go back to the right. So two things I missed. The whole team knows top 3, 1, 2. Top 3, top 1, top 2, top 3 impediments. Scrum Master has a strategy for how to fix top impediments. Scrum Master focusing on removing impediments, escalated to management. So if you read the Scrum Guide, the Scrum Master should cause a removal of impediments, meaning support the team in removing these impediments, support the team in identifying the impediments, and also ensuring that the team don't ignore the impediments. Nothing is said in the Scrum Guide concerning the Scrum Master should be the only one responsible to remove impediments. No, that's wrong. I don't like this the way it's phrased here. The whole team should participate in removing these impediments, identifying the impediments, not only the Scrum Master, but I would say, the Scrum Master is here to help the team not get distracted so that they can focus on their commitment. So all the things slowing them down, the Scrum Master can help them resolve that so that they can really focus on what's important. The sprint goal and their commitment. Team has a Scrum Master. Scrum Master sits with a team. Obviously. And the last thing is, daily Scrum is every day, same time, same place, every single day. Product owner participates at least a few times per week. Remember, we talked about that the product owner is not mandatory, same as the Scrum Master. It's for the developers, by the developers. Max 15 minutes, extremely important. The only thing that the Scrum Master needs to do for the daily Scrum is ensure that it happens and meets the time box. And I would even say that it's effective. So ensure that the time box is respected. 15 minutes. We are not here to find solutions to problems. No, we are just here to talk about the planning for the day and mention impediments, if any. Each team member knows what the others are doing. Extremely important. We need to communicate. We need to be able to help each other. Now, the next section, scaling. Not only one single team in the organization that does Scrum, multiple teams. We want to scale Scrum. These are pretty fundamental to any Scrum scaling effort. You have a chief product owner, obviously. Multiple products, multiple teams. You need to have a single chief product owner accountable for the backlog, especially if you have a single product. Who is accountable? 5 product owners. Who is accountable for the final product goal and the product backlog? The central product backlog. It needs to be a chief. Else, everyone will sort of want to be the captain of the ship. Dependent teams do Scrum of Scrums. We need to talk between teams, especially if we have dependencies. Every single day, I would say, but maybe sometimes it's too much. But at least once a week or twice a week, talk about the dependencies, progress. What needs to be done? Any issues? Clarify things. We need to talk. I see so many people we have something to be developed by another team. Just send it. Assign the task to our team. Never talked with the other team. And then they are surprised why this thing has been developed wrongly. The same logic that you are applying in the team. The business people and the developers talking to each other, you should apply that to other teams also. You should be communicating to ensure that they do what you are expecting and you do what they expected. Communicate, extremely important. Dependent teams integrate within each sprint. If you're working within user stories in a sprint, the dependent part of it needs to be integrated in the sprint. Because it's required, we need to complete that in order to meet our definition of done. Now the last one, positive indicators, leading indicators of a good Scrum implementation. Having fun, like you're watching my video right now. High energy, having fun together. Overtime work is rare and happens. Why? Why is overtime rare? We want a sustainable pace, and you can't achieve a sustainable pace if you're constantly working overtime. You'll burn out. People will take sick leaves. They will fall sick. They will be demotivated, not driven. It's way better to have a sustainable pace, like we just rush prior to the release, and then we burn out. And then we rush prior to the release, we do overtime, and then we burn out again. It goes on and on. No. Sustainable pace, way better. It's proven to work. And the last one, discussing, criticizing, and experimenting with a process, with people also. Everything need to be, feedback needs to be provided on everything in the team, including people. And you need to be in a safe environment where people can give feedback freely. Obviously, good feedback. You're just not like shouting at people and being vulgar concerning people. No, good feedback. You should be able to provide feedback, and you should be able to accept feedback in a safe environment. And everyone should be able to collaborate together and have a single goal, our product vision, and we want to go into this direction, and we should be having fun. Not only work in the team. No, go out after work, go grab some drinks, bond together. It's proven that a team that likes each other, people that like each other in the team, they are more driven, they are more motivated, and they want to work together more. If you want more tips, insights on Agile, Scrum, personal growth, click on the video that stands out the most on the screen right now, and I'll see you in a few seconds.